Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. During this last week, the primary precipitation event that we dealt with here in the state was in the Monday-Tuesday time frame, as most of the main edge remained to the north of us and the heavier precipitation fell across the Dakotas. But here in Nebraska, most of central, south central, and the southern half of north central Nebraska received anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to upwards of 3/4 of an inch, with isolated showers and an occasional clap of thunder. East and west of this region, basically nothing more than wetting the grass surfaces. And then, of course, as we got into Wednesday, the southerly winds started to kick in. We've seen temperatures break the 80-degree mark across a large portion of western Nebraska, with upper 70s and a few isolated 80s across eastern Nebraska. Then, of course, we've seen a slight cool down in the Thursday, Friday time frame. And now as we go into this weekend, we have an impending storm system pushing into the area that may develop some thunderstorm activity across eastern Nebraska. And if they do form as expected, we may see some locations that will receive their greatest 24-hour precipitation total since last October. So let's take a look at the upper air models and see how this storm system will progress across the region. We have the northern jet that's starting to push southward, and we have an upper air low that's going to be moving out of the desert southwest, and they're going to interact with each other as they get into the central plains. So for this afternoon, as this cold front sags southward and the moisture starts effecting to the north, we may see scattered thunderstorm activity develop in east central southeast Nebraska, with a likelihood of heavy precipitation possible across southeastern Nebraska. Isolated thunderstorms may produce in excess of an inch, but for the most part we're expecting somewhere between 1/4 and 3/4 of an inch of moisture across the eastern part of the state. Lesser amounts as we move westward. Now as we go into tomorrow, all these systems congeal and will be in the cold sector, so it looks like 30s in northern Nebraska to mid-40s across southern Nebraska will be the rule of the day. Pretty much a raw, windy day with occasional bouts of rainfall and even mixing with snow as we get into the late afternoon hours, and the potential is still there for some accumulating snowfall across northwest and north central Nebraska, with less of a risk for accumulating snowfall across central Nebraska. By Monday, this system starts to shift to our east, draws a cool air on the backside of it, so we'll be confined into the 40s and 50s as we get into Monday. The precipitation will shift to our east and probably generate some significant problems east of us, where several inches of moisture are expected. As we go into Tuesday, we'll start to see a ridging pattern develop, and we'll warm our temperatures about 10 degrees under fairly nice conditions. On Wednesday, the ridge starts to shift toward the east. We see this upper level approaching from the west, and we should have our warmest temperatures of the week on Wednesday. And as this system moves into the southern plains on Thursday, we'll start to see showers and thunderstorms developing across the state, with more organized precipitation possible across eastern Nebraska on Friday. And this system right now is pointing to very significant chances of moisture across the eastern half of the state. So if we look at the temperatures, we'll be looking at warm conditions on Saturday, the cool down on Sunday with a mixed precipitation, a gradual warming through midweek, and then we cool down with the next impending storm system moving into our region. Next Thursday through the following Tuesday, cooler than normal conditions in terms of precipitation. Normal to above normal moisture would be expected.